Hello, my dear friends, and welcome again on the Info Club channel. This is Yunus speaking, and today's video we're gonna speak about the latest update, which is coming from first of all Zaporizhia front line, especially the Ukrainian counteroffensive, and also there is many news about fierce fighting in Donetsk, especially in Volodar. And also the latest update from Luhansk area, the latest advance from the Russian army. And also there is an important information came from the Ukrainian side that said that mass evacuation has been started from the city of KUPIANSK. So yes, guys, before we start, make sure to like and subscribe. I would be so thankful for your support. Piatikhatki front line, well, there is no major changes has been happening in the front line, but the Ukrainians has started to understand that the Russian artillery, it is some kind of a game changer. It is the most important target now, because as we saw in many videos that the Ukrainian, when they make an attack or an advance or trying to make some kind of strategic advance, the Russian, they use first of all the mines. There is many mines on the fields, and also the artillery. And now the Ukraine has started to targeting the Russian artillery, especially the multi-rockets launchings like Oregon. There is many videos, we saw, especially on Telegram, that the Ukrainians start targeting those artillery rockets. And it can be a problem for the Russians if they don't find any kind of solutions by targeting those Ukrainian drones. And I think if the Ukraine is continuing attacking and targeting those artilleries, maybe they can solve a small part from the issue that they have, that really they cannot advance in Piatikhatki. And also in Orikhiv bridgehead, there is no major changes. The latest update has said that the Russians has took control over these fields, and there is no a new Ukrainian attack from Orikhiv. Only there is some kind of artillery exchanges between the Russian army and the Ukrainian army. Moving forward, and especially in north of the village of Novopokrovka, the latest update said that the Russian army has managed to take control over these hills. Well, according to the topographic map, this hills, it is like let's say, is very important and can give an advantage for the Russian army defenses in the area. Moving forward, especially in Vermivka bridgehead, the Russian army still controlling this let's say this areas starting from Stepova to Priutna. The Ukraine is still trying to make some kind of a bridgehead toward the village of Priutna and the village of Stepova. Also, for your information, after more than 40 days from the start of this Ukrainian counter-offensive, it looks like even they still far away from the first Russian defense line, which is far from the village of Priutna. Let's say is about between 12 to 15 kilometers. Moving forward in the front line of Volodar, the latest update said that the Russians has started some kind of counter-offensive in this area toward the mines over here, and this area became like a gray zone. It is a multi-clashes area between the Russian army and the Ukrainian army. Well, first of all, the Ukrainian, I remember 2 weeks ago, they have started some attack in the north of the village of Palivka, and they have made, or they have managed to make some kind of advance in this area. But the Russians, has bring a lot of supports and a lot of reinforcement to stabilize this front line. And after it became stabilized, the Russian has started an offensive not toward the village of Volodar, but toward the mines. I think it is salt mines over there, and it is a very strategic position, this mines, because as we can see the mines here, it is on this highway which is connecting Volodar with the city of Marinka. And jumping directly to the south of city of Marika, especially in Novomikhailivka. Well, there is many updates also over there that first of all, in the latest 72 hours, that the Russians has made an attack and they took control over these trenches in the north of the village of Novomikhailivka. But yesterday, the Ukrainians has made a counter offensive, and now they took back control over this trenches line. Well, this area is still until now back and forward between the Russian and the Ukrainian army, and even the map we can see it is in the gray zone. Jumping directly to one of the most important front line, which is Bakhmut, and we will start from south of Bakhmut, especially in the village of Klitschivka. The Russian Defense Ministry has said that the Russian army, after the counter-offensive that started to took over the hills that has been lost to the Ukrainians 3 days ago, the Russians has said that they have succeeded to take over back the all hills on the village of Klitschivka, and it is very obvious now after the reinforcement that has been arrived to the Russian army, especially the Chechen forces. Now they are in a good number and they are well organized, as we know that the Chechens are really fierce fighters, and now the Russians has made a successful counter-offensive in the north of the village of Klitschivka, and also in the east of the village of Klitschivka, and they have managed to take control over these hills. These hills are very, very important for the defense of the village of Klitschivka. So we were in the south of Bakhmut. We will jump directly in north of Bakhmut. The Russian Defense Ministry has announced that the Russian army has started a counter-offensive starting from the village of Dubovo Vasilivka toward the village of Hrihorivka. Well, there is no major updates about what's going on exactly in north of Bakhmut, but now the Russians, they said that they've started this counter-offensive after the successful counter-offensive that has been started from the village of Berhivka, and the Russians has managed to take control the trenches that were here. 2 days ago, the Ukrainians has managed to take control over this trenches, but now the Russians, they have took it back, and I think now the front line it's stabilized between the Russians and the Ukrainians, and I think that even after this Vilnius summit, it was a goal for the Ukrainian to make some kind of success, especially south of Bakhmut, to show to the NATO countries that the Ukrainians are trying to make some kind of advantage over the Russians, but they did not succeed. And now the Russians, has made a successful counteroffensive in the south and in the north of Bakhmut. Jumping directly to Luhansk oblast, yesterday there were many news that the Russian army has advanced over the village of Novoselivka, and they have managed to take control over the all settlements, and also they took control over the south area of the settlements. But I think starting from late yesterday, the Ukrainians has bring a lot of reinforcement, and they made a counter offensive from the north and from the south of the settlement, and they have managed to take control over the east outskirts of the village, but they did not succeed to take control over the south field or to take control over the north fields. The Russians, under heavy, fierce fighting, they have just withdrawn from the east outskirts, and they are still west of this highway. Well, we need to wait to understand the latest update from this settlement. And jumping directly to one of the most important, let's say, front line in the Russian-Ukrainian war, the Ukrainian authorities has announced a mass evacuation from the city of KUPIANSK. We understand why, because now the Russians, they are, let's say, advancing, and they are making a successful bridgehead toward the city, especially the northern outskirts of the city, as we know that they have managed to take control over this fields and the forest area. And also the Russians, they are targeting and they are shelling the village of Kucherivka and the village of Petrovalivka. And we understand why that the Russians, they don't want to give an opportunities for the Ukrainians to manage a new defense line and new fortifications, because if the Ukrainians has managed to prepare these fortifications, so maybe the Russians, they will find, let's say, a hard time to advance to take control over the most important city in the Luhansk area, which is Kupiansk. So yes, guys, that was the most important updates from the front line. And again, please make sure to like and subscribe. I will be so thankful for your support, and I wish for everybody an amazing day. Bye bye.